It was alarming before when you're talking about the camera being on for so many people. That's just such a breach on privacy.
But it's also dangerous, mate, because we know that the biggest breaches of digital security are big tech and big government.
Yeah,
they can't manage it, and we also know that the majority of breaches of digital security are human error.
Yeah.
So you can put in place things, but humans are ultimately going to have the last say in that. So we're giving a hacker's paradise.
You're giving them everything.
And they can watch what you're doing, so a burglar can get on and watch you know your habits at home.
Yeah.
And then know when the best time is so that you're away to burgle the joint. So they can get all the information that they need about you.
I've got to ask, right, and this is a very surface level question, but I guess these questions aren't asked a lot because we always end up deep in policy and who's right, who's wrong. At the end of the day, we've got people in the Australian Parliament, Peter Dutton, Albanese, who's on his way out. He's actually just bought a house where I grew up.
Housing crisis and millions of Australians without a house, and he buys one for $4.2 million.
And he makes sure, well, whether it was directly from him or not, but my mum rang me, she's like, they got an extra $100 million down here to fix the road that goes to his house.
I think, to be fair, I think that was always in play because I've got a very, very fine member of staff who lives not far from there. I think it's in the Gosford area, and he said that has been slated for a long time.
Okay, so it's been politicised, that little... Yeah. So my question is, around these people, you and I talk, Mitch and I talk, and all my friends talk, people in my workplace talk, my wife and I talk about this globalist agenda. Do Peter Dutton, Anthony Albanese, are they owned, compromised, greedy, don't care, or head in the sand, like incompetence? What is it with some people like you who could be like, hey, this country's going down the gurgler, and other people be like, yeah, let's just keep passing bills that does what? I mean, who is pushing it beyond our parliament officials who run our country?
I can't answer the question about Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton because I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't say something that I haven't got the data on, but I do know that there are people at senior levels in the Liberal Party and some at senior Liberal levels in the Labor Party who are globally connected and connected to the globalist agenda. They are pushing this. They're making sure that their mates get onto the subsidies bandwagon for solar and wind. So they're pushing it for money and they're pushing it for control. You then look at people like Greg Hunt, who was a minister for climate change and energy, climate change certainly, under whose government? Malcolm Turnbull's government, the Liberal Party. He had been a World Economic Forum manager of strategy for the World Economic Forum for 2000-2001. Okay. Then he introduced the safeguard mechanism, which is basically an emissions trading scheme, which is a carbon dioxide tax.
Yeah.
He had introduced that under Malcolm Turnbull, who is a globalist. So I don't know if he's doing it deliberately or in ignorance. But they introduced the carbon dioxide tax that Tony Abbott repealed, but they called it a safeguard mechanism. So it was a lie. He then went to the health department, and as health minister, he introduced the COVID shots. And he's the one who said, we are engaged in the world's largest clinical vaccination trial. He knew it was just a trial. He knew it was uncertain. He knew it was potentially dangerous. He knew it may not work. But so you've got people like Greg Hunt. Now, is he a lackey, an ignorant person who thinks he's doing the right thing, or is he an operative? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I wasn't impressed with Greg Hunt. Very weak man, in my opinion, in my dealings with him. So you've got some people, then you've got others who are making money out of it. Then you've got others who are completely ignorant of the basics, and I'm talking now about the Greens and the Teals, have no clue about climate. And I mentioned David Pocock, who's a Teal. The Teals pretend to be independents, but there's 6 of them, plus David Pocock in the Senate.
Yeah.
They are a party.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. They work together.
They're aligned on everything they vote on. Yeah.
Yeah. And they get millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars. David Pocock has just been bailed by Katie Gallagher, the Labor senator for the ACT, as having the $2 million war chest for fighting his campaign for 400,000 voters in the ACT.
Yeah.
$2 million. So, and he, there's so many things I can talk about, but he is, one of his funders is Climate 200. The Teal's major funder is Climate 200.
Yeah.
Who pumps the money into Climate 200? Simon Holmes Court. What does Simon Holmes Court make a lot of money from? Solar and wind subsidies.
Yeah.
You know, so
it doesn't take much of following the money to find out.
No.
Yeah.
And there he is saintly protecting the world, and he's actually destroying the world, destroying the environment with, you know, the massive clearing they've got going on, the destruction of creeks, rivers. So it's a really topsy-turvy world. But then you start realising there's also something else that's going on, and that is that, you know, humans, I believe, are wonderful.
Yeah.
But we've got our bloody Hitlers and our Stalins and our Pol Pots and our Morrisons and our Palaszczuk's, you know, that just don't care.
Sorry, I'm laughing because the names you put together.
They're meant there. Yeah. They're meant to be together.
Yeah.
So we're essentially very caring. There's so much to talk about here. What the UN does, what the Liberal Party and Labor Party, and especially the Greens do, is they put out anti-human policies. They say, Brodie, because you don't care about humans and you don't care about the planet, we've got to put in place this legislation. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because the fact that you're sitting here is evidence that says you do care and someone has cared about you in your past. Remind me to get back to the point, but it's so important. Kids these days, from when they're that big and popped out of mum, their whole life is indoctrination that humans are bad, evil, greedy, rapacious, uncaring. Nothing's further from the truth. The humans that survive are the ones who have been cared for. When a horse is born, a little foal is born, it pops out of a mum, drops on the ground, and, you know, it stumbles around awkwardly for 20 minutes to finally get up on its feet. Within 20 minutes, Brodie, it's trotting.
Yeah.
Then it sidles up to its mum and starts suckling. And after 3 months, it starts putting its head down with the rest of the horses, starts eating grass. 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, it still needs protection of the herd, but it's independent. It can survive on its own. Humans, you and I, were completely helpless, completely dependent on other humans for at least a few years, and while our brain developed, and then even longer in many, many ways. So the only reason you're here is because someone cared for you.
Yeah.
Now, your parents, my parents, may not have been perfect. They might have even abandoned you, but someone cared for you.
Correct.
So you're evidence that someone's cared for you. Physical evidence. And what they're telling us, since the other thing about humans is that Maria Montessori, who's probably the most, she's dead now, but she's the most developed sense of understanding of human development and human behaviour, said that the critical years for the formation of both character and intellect are birth to 6. And then we don't start developing our reasoning skills, our intellect, until about 9. So that means for the first 6 years, you were making shit up.
Yeah.
You were creating, Brodie. God didn't create you. Nature didn't create you. Your understanding of Brodie was created by an ignorant entity by the age of 6 that didn't really know much about the world. And so your framework of the world, your framework about you, whether you're worthy, whether you're not, whether you're vulnerable, whatever it is that are your childhood fears, they were developed by you in ignorance. And it seems to me that life is a journey to die happy. We create that misery, we create that ego. You created Brodie, I fabricated Malcolm, and then we stumble through life, we have our challenges, and then we learn from that about who we really are. And so if we have a good life, then we die happy. If we don't, we die miserable and come back again and do it again probably. Yeah. But what I'm getting to is that humans are really wonderful beings, but we stuffed ourselves up in the creation of that ego, and that particularly applies to politicians because many of them are highly ego-driven. So some of them get off on the control because they think if I have more power, if I have a Mercedes instead of a Honda, then I'm better than you are. So we put all these fabrications out in front of us and say, this is who I really am. I'm a Mercedes driver.
Right.
I'm a politician. I'm the Prime Minister. And you can see that parents have told Bob Hawke, for example, and a couple of other, Bill Clinton, Bill, you're going to be president one day. Bob, you're going to be prime minister one day. That's a hell of a thing to put on a kid.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we've got so many screwed up motives that we don't even understand ourselves. We're not even conscious of them, and they're driving these things. So some people want to be prime minister, and to be prime minister, they've got to put in place some of the global agenda. So that's what drives them. They don't know what they're doing. They just think they're doing the right thing. And then you see the media is owned by the same people who benefit from the...
Totally.
So then the media puts out that we're destroying the planet, and they put out that if you care, you will line up with the climate alarm. And so people are indoctrinated. Get a toxic shot during COVID that's not been tested, never been tested, because you're going to save Granny. Now many people are going to say, I'm not putting that shit in me.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt Granny. Well,
yeah.
Because humans actually care. And Al Gore, I watched An Inconvenient Truth. Many people might not know what that is, but that's Al Gore's movie about climate alarm.
Yeah.
And he started by talking about how the world's going to hell. It's not. It's never been better. Great Barrier Reef's in fantastic shape. But anyway, he talked about that. And then he said, it's because humans don't care. And guess what he did at the end of the show? He came back and say, I know you'll help me because I know you care.
Yeah, yeah, good contradiction.
Complete contradictions, within themselves. They get away with complete bullshit because people don't think. And so education has become indoctrinated.
And we homeschool now.
Good on you. That's wonderful. So
I'm a carnivore, a homeschool, and I got Senator Malcolm Roberts on the show. That's where I stand.
So it's a long way of saying every which way they can, they're indoctrinating us. And they're indoctrinating us with complete lie that humans are bad, greedy, uncaring, rapacious, unkind, and we're the opposite. Now, sure, we all have our little problems, and sometimes Hitler has these big problems.
Yeah.
But essentially, we're heading down the right track. The other thing is that humans are very dependent upon a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're a big bloke and you look pretty fit, but you're nothing against a cheetah, nothing against a saber-toothed tiger. But our ancestors learned how to defend ourselves and kill saber-toothed tigers because we could work together with our superior brain and our teamwork. And so but what it meant was that when our predecessor families, ancestral families, were surviving in the bush as a family, they worked together.
Yeah.
And if you didn't carry your weight, they'd ostracize you because if you didn't do that, someone could die. So we don't like being out of the herd. We don't like being out of the sense of belonging is extremely important. So what they do is they basically try to isolate you on social media, isolate you in the way you behave. Say Brody doesn't care, he won't get the shot because he doesn't care about Granny, and so they use social peer pressure to try and drive you, and that's how they get that herd mentality. So it's very, very carefully done through the media, through school, through high school, universities, politics.
You just mentioned a couple of things in that I want to touch on. One is around media funding. I'll probably come back to that. Mob mentality. The reason I bring this up is because I think the control of the mob is generally what wins. And like you've said, they've spent very intentional time and money on making sure that we're all indoctrinated a certain way to further their agenda. We talked on
indoctrination is around humans are evil, and the irony is that in the end, it's always about because humans are evil. Give me the power as a globalist to
and
look
I'll fix
after
it.
you.
And I'll fix
hang on.
it.
Aren't you a human?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the contradictions are there. It's like, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. And so the mob mentality. We talked about this. Why I think this is important. We talked about it a couple of days ago on the show. For example, AVC, the big pub group, right? They came out and said, we don't want you to. Well, at least they told their managers that their policy was going to be, let's not celebrate Australia Day. Very quickly, the Australian public said, get stuffed, and very quickly, it was reversed. An apology was issued. The reason I think that's important is because the speed of things now, when the public speaks up, we're not awake, but we're getting there slowly.
Yep.
I know you mentioned it with Alex Jones. We've got so far to go, and I agree, but one conversation at a time. The Commonwealth Bank, $3 charges on cash withdrawals. 24 hours, 48 hours, we're not going to do it. It wasn't the politicians saying.
No.
It was the people saying what it was, which they haven't confirmed, but it was people saying, I'm changing banks. You vote with your dollar. We talked about the additives that Coles is putting in the beef, the Bovair. Other places have been doing it for a long time. Coles have just mentioned it. All it would take is for every Australian for 1 week, don't shop at Woolworths. 1 week. I know you can't afford to go to your local butcher every day because at the moment prices are higher to go to an organic and a safe place. That will change quickly. Can you imagine if every Australian for 1 week said, we're not shopping at Woolworths? You think they're not going to see those numbers and that's going to bring some kind of change?
You just nailed it. That's the key to our society. The power of the people should be used by the people. So there's so many things here.
Take your time. We've got as long as you can stay.
All right.
Which one you want to touch on? Mob mentality. Let's talk about mob because it's actually it's a call to action of people. That's why it's important.
Yeah.
Let's talk about power of people.
Okay. The misinformation, disinformation bill. When that was first introduced by the Liberal Party, we came out and smashed it.
Yep.
We had that was 4 years ago.
I was going to say 2020, wasn't it? 21, around the time.
Yeah, maybe even before then, before COVID, I think. But it was quietly introduced. And we smashed it. So we've been educating people about that. And then because the people had so much warning and we had so much warning, when Albanese flagged it to bring it in, Communication Minister Michelle Rowland, she was just smashed, absolutely smashed. And Labor Party pulled it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they dropped it.
Yeah.
They'll bring it back again because it's part of the globalist agenda. But it was the power of the people. It wasn't me. I had my mouth about that for many, many years, and we cultivated the people, but it was the people that did it. It wasn't me. It was the people. Cash ban bill was introduced by Morrison again to ban the use of cash for any transaction above 10,000. Well, not many transactions above 10,000, but that's not the point. The point is they'll reduce that limit to 2,000, then to 200, then zero cash. And there are whole kinds of things we can talk about with cash. That's really going to hurt people. Cash is essential for freedom. I used to love the frequent flyer points I'd get by using my credit card, my Visa card at Coles, everywhere. We don't use it now. I carry it just in case, but because if I'm traveling. But I go to the bank, withdraw cash, carry cash with me because it's so important. And more people are now starting to realise that. So when they introduced the cash ban bill, we learned about it, and I came out and talked to the crossbench senators and to the Greens. And sometimes the Greens, they're the most anti-human party there is. They are anti-human, but sometimes some of their things to do with banks are aligned with us.
Yep.
And so they were horrified by the cash ban. So we had the Senate minor parties and crossbench senators against it. Then we started to put pressure on the Labor Party in the lower house, and they ignored the pressure we put on them, and they joined the Liberals to vote in favour of the cash ban. So the cash ban bill got through the lower house. It came to the Senate. Meanwhile, our office got in touch with grassroots members of the Liberal Party and Labor Party. And they put so much heat on the senators, Liberal and Labor senators, that the bill was confined to a committee, and it stayed there for 3 months. And I thought, what the hell? I moved a motion to get it off the books, and it went off the books. It was successful, not because of me, but because of the people putting so much pressure on the Liberal and Labor parties. And when you have a democracy, people tend to get comfortable. We had a high standard of living in this country, and we haven't done a lot to earn it. We're just blessed with resources. And a small population in a big country, very wealthy country. So people have got fat and sloppy. But the key part of a democracy is people have got to be active. It's not a passive sport. It's an active sport. Yeah. People have to be involved to hold their members of parliament accountable. If they're not active, they're passive, then it devolves into a tyranny. The tyranny isn't with a gun or a rifle pointed at you, forcing you to do things. That's if I hold a gun to your head, everyone can see that I'm controlling you.
Yeah.
But if I indoctrinate you from when you're this big, you don't even know I'm controlling you.
Yeah.
And so that's what's been going on for many, many years. This hasn't been a slow game. Sorry, it hasn't been a fast game. It's been very slow,
methodical,
calculated. And the Fabian Society was developed in the 1880s, I think, and their goal is to put in place communism on a global scale gradually. And one of the things about humans is we don't tend to notice things when they have gradual changes.
Yeah.
But they're all ratcheting up and never coming back. So that's what we've got to do, is help people to wake up. But the power of the people is extremely important in a democracy. And our constitution puts the people at the top. But we're not doing our job, holding the government accountable.
The other thing that you mentioned, when we talked about the media's owned, like who funds the media. Now in the States, the mainstream media funding is like 80% from Big Pharma, right? For them. Yep. So they're the argument or the premise might be over there that if Donald Trump decides to ban it, like it is in most countries, that kind of funding for media, that would completely topple Fox, CNN, blah, blah, in America. Those networks at least couldn't pay the big wages to the anchors to do what they do because there's no money there. Someone else would have to come in. George Soros would have to come in and pay for it, right? So in Australia, our media companies here, is there anything that, are they funded, and I don't know, I'm asking if you know, but are they funded by things that are quite corrupted and the messaging is very clear, or they're just getting big subsidies, they're getting government help on certain things? Like, why do certain members of media say what they say in Australia?
The advertising dollar is what drives it. Dr. David Martin, who I don't know a lot about, but I'm going to be doing a podcast with him. He's been belling the COVID cat for quite some time. He seems pretty strong. He said the same thing. 75-80% of the advertising media in America is driven by Big Pharma. Is owned by Big Pharma. Yeah. So he was engaged with some of the big media companies. I can't remember which one. It was at NBC. But anyway, he was on an advisory board. And because he's a doctor, he became aware of some scandal, and it was killing people. And he tried to raise it and get it into the media, and he tried it a number of times. And eventually, someone pulled him aside and said, "David, if we run that, we'll lose funding from Big Pharma. Yeah, we're not going to run it, mate." So they're killing people. Now there's that power of mass media. Fortunately, with COVID, one of the silver linings of COVID is that people have woken up to the mass media. They've woken up to social media being censors. So the big player in Australia is Rupert Murdoch with News Corp. Yep. He's the only one who's been giving journalists like Adam Crichton, who's their American correspondent, from America, he's an Aussie, the freedom to publish the truth about COVID and the COVID restrictions. Adam Crichton did that right from the start. He publishes both views on the climate scam, climate fraud. So Murdoch also has bought the best paper in some of the country, like in London, in New York. He's bought the best papers, the Wall Street Journal, for example. But he also buys the trashy stuff. Yep. So I think Murdoch is not about indoctrinating other people. He's about looking after his own pocket. Yeah. Okay? But I don't see anything pushing the globalist agenda. He may be under pressure every now and then to push the global agenda because he's got to mix with the billionaires. But
his sons like to be at the parties.
But Channel 9, Channel 7, they generally, yeah, you're right. And I'm fearful about his sons, Lachlan and co, because they seem to be woke. Yeah. So I think Channel 9, Channel 7 push the woke agenda. They push the globalist agenda. I don't know if it's because of fashion or it's deliberate. I suspect a bit of both. The ABC, completely indoctrinated, hopelessly indoctrinated. And they're just a government agency. So that's my view on the media in Australia.
For those of you who have joined us for the first time, go ahead and subscribe. I'll also put all of Senator Malcolm Roberts' details in the bio so you can go and watch the amazing work he does through his socials. And I hope you've enjoyed this interview. It's been a pleasure to me. Again, thank you, Senator, for being with us. And we'll see you again next Wednesday for next week's show.